Hey everyone, Mike here. We're going to make I'm going to call it a caricature of a frog today. I'm saying caricature because it's not lifelike, it's not realistic, although the silhouette of it could become somewhat realistic as it's setting on the water. And what I'm talking about is this frog right here, okay? This is going to be made from all craft materials. Unfortunately, you can't typically find the craft materials at your craft store. You might have to get it off of Amazon, and I'll have those links in the description below the video on my YouTube channel. So we'll go ahead and call out exactly what it is that we're going to be using and to build this frog. Okay, so we've got these little rubbery front legs here, okay, and the back legs. And what those are made out of is this stuff here. It's called luline, and you can get this off of, let's see if I can get that focused in there. Let me take this off here. Luline, it's a stretchy string used in crafts for making bracelets and that sort of thing. Okay, so those are the legs, the rubbery legs anyway, part of the legs. The rear legs are going to be made out of brushed out bonnie cord, and I'm going to actually show you each step as we make this thing. The body is a punched out 7mm foam with a piece of 1mm foam laminated to the top, okay, or bottom. This would be the belly side of your frog, and this is the top side. The green is 7mm, and this is 1mm. Again, the links to this will be to Amazon, and you can purchase them there. The shape I'm using is from one of the shapes that came in the kit that I bought for punching out leather shapes, okay? So this is the smaller of the teardrops, and what we're going to do with that is we're going to punch this out right here so that we can get this right here to put on the hook. This will be the body, okay? And so we got that. I'm using a Gamakatsu B10S size 4 for the hook. That's everything's being built onto the Gamakatsu B10S size 4. And then the eyes are simply these straight pins that are used typically in sewing to hold seams together until the seamstress gets everything sewn together. And I've been using these for a little while, not real long. I've been playing around with them for probably about a year now. And what has to happen is this is way too long, obviously. The shank of the pin is way too long. So what we're going to have to do is cut it off so that it's about that long right there, about 1/8 of an inch. And the only thing that's used for is because we're going to put a couple of guide holes in here, and that's just to get the pin to go through those guide holes, and it'll be held into place with a super glue gel. Now the legs, I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there going all over this, but we covered the rubber legs, the bonnie cord legs, the body, the eyes. The legs, let's go back to these legs. The bonnie cord is going to be placed on these Aberdeen hooks. Okay, the Aberdeen hooks are very cheap, and they're very wiry. Okay, we're not going to use the hook part because we're going to cut that off. I'm actually going to cut the tip of the hook off so that we can put it in the vise and tie on our materials. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take off this finished frog here, and we're going to start building the frog and start with the hind legs first. Like I said, we're going to cut that part of the hook off right there. So I'm going to take my cutters and just cut it off. Now, it's going to be cut off even more than this. And that's for both legs, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and put the hook into the vise, and we're going to load it up with white thread because I don't have any green, and I am going to color the white with a green neon Sharpie on the part that it kind of ties together the rubber part and the boni cord part, okay? I wouldn't worry too much about getting your material or your thread with touching wraps all the way through, because this is all going to get covered up anyway. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put on the lolim, okay? So let's go over to this camera here, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull off probably about a foot of this. Double it over, get it on both sides, get the 1 foot on both sides, both pieces, both legs. Okay, so now we'll just grab one of the, oops, I didn't cut it yet. Okay, so we'll take this and even it up, even up the ends, and then cut this in half. Now we can go ahead and drop our lolim stretchy string, and now we're going to double it again, okay, and then we're going to double it yet again. Alright, so we're going to go in through and cut this loop here, and then tie it all onto our Aberdeen hook. I'd say you're going to come down about 5/8 of an inch to 3/4 approximately, and then your lolim. Yeah, for Pete's sakes, let's do it this way. We're going to take and wrap around. Let's get back onto this camera. We're going to wrap it around like that, and then bring it over. Oops, you know what? There we go. I want it to be about halfway between, the front and back part of our thread base. And then we'll wrap this stuff on like so, making sure we're coming back about 3/4 of an inch. Do a few covers on there. I guess you could do this in the beginning or the end. But one of the things we're going to want to do is on our boni cord, and I will have them in these tubes that makes it easy to keep it in control and not have it all stuck out and all over your drawer or your box or whatever. But these tubes make it kind of nice to do that. Do it in a number of different colors. I can't remember how many colors I have, but it's quite a few. Okay, so this might be a little bit too much. So we're going to go, actually that's because it came from the whole tube. So we're going to cut this down to probably about in half. Alright, like that. And then we're going to put that Now you won't want to use the you wouldn't want to use your brush table to make a brush here. You kind of want this to be so that you can push it back and get that shape. I did a couple of soft wraps and then tightened it up to get it even all the way around. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap this forward. If you do touching wraps or close to touching wraps, as you lay this down, it'll kind of lay it down gradually and nicely. Okay, so what we want to do now is figure out the length of our leg by deciding, actually what we're going to do is cut this about in half. And the reason why you want to put this on at the full length, well, I suppose you could cut it in half before you do this, but I'm doing it this way. Okay, so what? So we're going to cut it in half, just like that. We're going to take this piece here and just lay it down for a minute, and we're going to run our thread towards the back. And we're going to take our tube and run it back like so. That's going to make the upper muscular part of the frog's leg. Okay, just a couple wraps, and then to get a really good shape, you'll kind of push it forward a little bit to get it fat like that right there, and then crank it down. And you could throw a little bit of, this is a super glue thin to put on your threads. Just a drop, not much at all. And go ahead and put a whip finish on that section right there. Now what we're going to do is I need to clean off my table here because I got a bunch of stuff in the way. Okay, let's put this black away. We're not going to use that. We will be using that right there, our bobbin threader. And then we'll go ahead and take this off of the hook or the vise. Take this hook off of the vise, and we're going to take our legs and move them all the way down. Just work them down, and work your flared out part of your bony cord. Let's see if this will do. I need to move that camera so you guys can get a better view of what I'm doing. But this is what we're wanting to do here, is to get this like so, and then we're going to trim all of this off here. Okay, until you get it down to about like that. Alright, now there's that part of the hook right there that we don't want anymore, don't need anymore, so we're going to again pull our Lolim stretchy cord, pull it back. We're going to take our cutters and cut close, not all the way in and not all the way off, but close inside, so that you end up with that right there. All right, so now you got this part of your leg, and then these parts hanging out the end there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Sharpie, neon Sharpie, neon green Sharpie, and then we're going to take these white threads. This neon green actually comes pretty close to the color of the EVA foam and the Bonnie cord. Okay. There's that. Now what we're going to do to get all of this locked in is we're going to take some of that liquid thin CA glue and just kind of dress up the Bonnie cord, and then I'm going to take a little paper towel that I cut down into squares and just kind of hit it there. And we might go ahead and now just go ahead and trim up that. Now I'm going to leave these on, okay, until we get this second one made. All right, so there's one. I'm not going to show you the other one, and then we'll have two of them here in just a second. Okay, so now we've got both of our legs made. There's two there, and we've got our string hanging down. So what we're going to do is line them up like so, and then take our scissors and cut off, I don't know, about 3/4, or not 3/4, 3/8 of an inch maybe, like so. And then that gives us these really nice little legs here for the back legs of our frog. Okay. Now the way we're going to connect those is by using, I've got a piece of 50-pound braid here, okay, and we're going to go ahead and get our B10S size 12 Gamakatsu. Okay, and I'm going to go to a red thread, and I'll show you why here in a few minutes. I'm going to load this up. This one we will do kind of touching wraps, because this is where we're going to super glue the body on. Alright, and I'm going to get these threads kind of loaded up with a bit of pre-treat on the CA glue on the shaft of that of hook. That way it'll lay down real nice and it won't spin. I might build this up just a little bit. We'll check the diameter of our hole once we get it made, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. And in the middle here, I'm going to build up kind of a bump in the middle, so that this bump kind of acts as a anchor point for your foam. So what we need to do now is, like I said, we're going to use this teardrop shape leather cutter. Put it on there. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I made this up too. Let's see. Made this up. All it is a couple of pieces of earth magnets on a 1/4-20 elevator bolt with a locking bolt, because it's got to actually have some movement in it, because if you have these things tight and you go to pound on the end, okay, when you do that, you'll crack these bearings. So we're going to go ahead and get our little plug cutter set up, and these magnets are very strong. I don't know what they're called, but they're those earth type magnets. And so we're going to go down here and then give it a good whack. Okay, and then you just pull it off, and there you go. You can see where it cut right through and made a perfect perfect shape there. And then what I do to get my shape is I pull the cutter off, and I just take a piece of plastic or something and kind of push it out and grab it like so. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our hole in the end of our EVA foam. And the way I do that is I have a bodkin that I only use for running my hole through the bottom of the foam flies that I make. Okay, I like doing it this way better than just slicing down and then trying to glue it in and hold it up, because it leaves kind of an ugly line, I think. And I'll show you here what we're going to end up with doing it this way. I'm not going to heat the whole needle, I'm just heating the very tip. That's all you want, and that's all you need. Once that tip turns red, it's ready to go. Take your final alignment, make sure the back of the teardrop is right in this groove of this combination square ruler, and then run it through just like that. Okay, and then it comes back out the end perfectly. Okay, same thing with going into the front part. It's perfect right in the middle there. Okay, so you can see how it is across the bottom in the back, and then across the bottom in the front. You've got a perfect hole reamed through your EVA foam that runs the full length, and not having to worry about having any variations in the height. It just does it perfectly. It lays it down on there, allows the hook to lay in there perfectly. Okay, so we got this. Now we're going to take our blank and put it on just like that. Just have the eye of the hook coming out there just a little bit. That's all you need. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to install the legs, and what I'm doing that with is this 50-pound braid. Okay, and I'll come up the back of my little hump there and pull it over just to lock it in. We're going to take one of our legs and thread it through so that we have this hook on one side. We're going to have this on this side of the hook right here. Okay, and we're going to want to have this section here just a little bit back to where the bend is, and hold it and then lock it down. Okay, so we're going to have I hope you guys are getting this. Okay, so now we've got this leg. It's articulated on the back here. Alright, so now we're going to thread up our second one. We're going to bring it in on the other side. There we go. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the first leg, line it up with the new leg, and make it so that they're even on the back there. Okay, and what we're going to do is lock them in, and bring it back over top, and then what that does, that locks both those legs in, and they will stay in place. They are not coming off. I know this is not a fly tying, it is lure building pretty much with craft materials, but this thing is so light you can toss it on your fly rod, and that's the whole idea as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so now that we've got to this point here, we can go ahead and tie off our thread. I want to call it string. Imagine that, 50 plus years of tying and calling this stuff string. Okay, so we're going to recheck. There. Just like that. How about that? And what we're going to try and do now is to make sure we don't get super glue on the metal part back there so that our frog legs stay articulated. All right. So now we know that it fits. We're going to go ahead and twist it back off. We're going to load it up with some regular super glue towards the back. And then I'm going to put some gel super glue on the front. Okay. And we get it there, and then I'll take one of these needles again. I use the needles to spread it out, and I'll use the needles to pre-cut holes for the eyes. So when we do that, we're going to want to take, well, that thing's wanting to get away from me. We're going to want to take our paper towel and clean off the tip of that needle. All right, now we're ready. Now we're ready to put the foam on. We're going to kind of back and forth, twist it on, just have the eye of the hook just barely coming out, and then we're going to pinch it together, and that super glue gel is kind of going to hold things in place. Now I actually did cut the thread off a little bit prematurely here, and what I'm going to do now is put it back on, and I'm just going to grab the very back tip of the body so that I can put a little red hot spot, and also helping to secure this this foam here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and so I don't know if you can see that or not, but we're going to have that little red section right there all the way around. We'll go ahead and whip finish it. And then to get everything locked into place, we're going to throw on some of this super glue, thin super glue, over the threads. And we'll take our paper towel and kind of spread it out in there. Okay, kind of check your legs, make sure that they are articulated, and we're getting to where we're almost done. This thing, I have not fished with this yet, but I can just about guarantee anybody that thinks, well, will it catch fish? What do you think? Will it? Will it catch fish? If you have to ask that, you probably shouldn't be fishing at all, whether it be fly fishing, spin casting, bait casting, or whatever. That, my friends, will catch fish.